For first in the AL West, the Rangers and the Royals go at it again tonight. And indeed, it's been a lot of fun to watch this thing take shape. Along with Tom Grieve, I'm Josh Lewin. We don't have a cool handshake down yet like Blaylock and Soriano do, but that top of the order, I guess they say, Tom, whether it's in business or sports, it all starts at the top, right? And if that's the case, maybe that's why the Rangers are doing so well.
I think that's a pretty good indication of why the offense has clicked so well. It's Young, it's Blaylock, it's Soriano at the top of the lineup. When you look at this graphic, it gives you a pretty good idea of how well they're doing compared to the rest of the league. Their average is about 75 points higher. Home runs about the same. They've knocked in on average 12 more runs than the average top three hitters. The team they're playing tonight has some pretty good top of the lineup hitters, but this is what has made the Rangers click, and their offense has been terrific all season long.
And as a team, they've got 12 wins already, only 8 losses. They're in that first place tie in the AL West with the Anaheim Angels. Kenny Rogers on the mound tonight, trying to become the first 4-game winner in the American League. He'll be opposed by a young left-hander by the name of Jimmy Gobble. Rogers and the Rangers play ball when we come back. Texas Ranger Baseball on Fox Sports Net, brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. By Gatorade, the X Factor, always part of the game. Is it part of you? By the Progressive Insurance Group. Call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE today. And by Southwest Airlines, nonstop service to 59 destinations all across the country. Southwest, a symbol of freedom. Maybe symbolic of how different things are for the Texas Rangers at this point this year. 12 wins, 8 losses, 20 games along. And one of the stats that they talked about during the pregame show, Tom, the fact that the Rangers are winning when they don't score a lot of runs. They are actually 3-4 this year when scoring 3 or fewer. They could lose their next 49-50 in a row and be right where they were at this point last year.
Well, I think that's the one key to where the Rangers are right now. If you go back to last season, I don't think there's any way that the Rangers win the game last night, bases loaded, nobody out in the 9th inning. And chances are they don't win any of those games if they only win 3 out of 57. And so that's why the Rangers really are 12-8 right now instead of maybe 9-11.
Francisco Cordero pulled the Harry Houdini act last night with a little bit of help from the infield defense. Soriano with that big double play. Blaylock had 3 hits last night. Mensch has been getting it done. Starting lineups are coming up next. 8 of 11. Kansas City has lost 10 of 12. That bodes well. Two teams kind of going the other way from each other right now. And the Rangers starting lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. You've got Michael Young and Hank Blaylock, a very potent 1-2 part of the order all year. Soriano and Herbert Perry to be followed by Brian Jordan and Eric Young. You've got Kevin Mensch, Lance Nix, Gerald Laird, a very productive bottom third of the order. And Tom on the mound for Kansas City, a guy that beat the Rangers last September 3-1. That is Jimmy Gobble.
Jimmy Gobble's only 22 years old. He's one of the young pitchers that Kansas City is banking on for the future. Last year in September, he pitched a very good game against the Rangers. He beat them 3-1, 7 innings, 4 hits, only 1 earned run. This season, lefties have hit him a little bit better than right-handers in a small sample. No runs allowed in 2 home games this season. His last appearance was an unusual one. He came on for Kevin Appier, who left after 1 inning because of an injury, and then pitched 6 innings of shutout relief himself. So he's off to a good start. His ERA for the season is .265, and the opponents are only hitting .226 against him.
Here it is, almost May, Tom, and the Royals have just 1 win from a starting pitcher. That's phenomenal. This is a team that challenged for the playoffs last year. They're expected to do that again, but right now they're 6-12 overall. Defensively, here's how the Royals come at it tonight. No Juan Gonzalez again. He is still out with a flu. Tony Graffinino and Andres Blanco, the double play combination. Last year's Rookie of the Year, Angel Baroa, is on the DL. Veteran Benito Santiago is the battery mate of Jimmy Gobble, so a 22-year-old pitches to a guy who's close to 40. And we are ready for baseball. Tom, you mentioned last September, Gobble beat the Rangers 3-1. The only run he allowed was on a leadoff home run to this guy. Mike Young hit Gobble's second pitch of the night out to left. And we will very soon find out if there will be deja vu. Pitch number 2 coming up right here. Nope. 1 ball, 1 strike. We talked about the productivity from the top of the order for the Rangers. Young, Blaylock, Soriano combining to hit around 350. And now a little more. Michael Young into right field.
What a surprise. We talked about that basically all season long with Michael Young. He gets better and better, and one of the things he's better and better at doing, number one, hitting with 2 strikes. That wasn't the case in that at-bat. But also hitting the ball to right field. He is very confident. Rudy Jaramillo said it last night in our soundbite. He's confident that he can hit even if he's behind in the count. He can work the count. He can take a strike. He's behind with 2 strikes on him. He's not afraid of that situation. And one of the reasons is he's so confident in his ability to wait on the ball and hit it to right field.
Blaylock serving this one in the center. Beltran's got it.
Hank's already made a couple of tough outs in this series. There's a line shot. Beltran had him played very well, a little bit over toward left center field. And last night, Beltran went all the way to the wall and reached up and caught a sky-high fly ball that went 410 feet. He also managed to hit a line shot over Beltran's head. And he's swinging the bat extremely well. Had 3 hits last night.
Soriano had a decent night at the plate, but it was more what he did in the field. We showed you the double plays that he turned, helping the Rangers save it yesterday, 3-2.
Gobble is not overpowering with his fastball. He doesn't throw quite as hard as Affeldt did last night. But one thing he does is he hides the ball well. His right shoulder, the shoulder closest to the hitter, stays closed. He doesn't open up too quick, which makes it hard to see the ball.
Soriano whacks one into center field. Beltran going back and over, and he will make the catch. 2 down.
2 well hit outs to center field. Beltran covers a lot of ground out there, and he has to because there is a lot of ground out there.
We'll be talking about, as we go tonight, the dimensions here in Kansas City. They have changed last year to this year. And that came into play last night because the Rangers a couple times hit balls to the warning track. And a year ago, those balls would have been gone.
And one thing that keeping that shoulder closed toward the hitter does is it hides the ball, and you don't see the ball till the last split seconds. A little bit tougher to pick up the ball against a pitcher like that. That's why sometimes an 88-mile-an-hour fastball can be just as effective as a 93-mile-an-hour fastball from someone who doesn't hide the ball and doesn't have the same kind of deception.
Coming out of that white uniform, too. We mentioned he's working with a guy in Benito Santiago who has caught close to 2,000 games. Knows a few tricks himself. Down the right field line off the bat of Herbert Perry, right into the corner, and that will stay in the park. Michael Young is going to try and score. Graffinino's relay throw is going to be too late, and Perry all the way to third.
Look at Herb flying around second base.
How about that? Young never stopped running, but neither did Herbert Perry.
Well, Herb was hitting the ball extremely well in batting practice. He hit a ball off the wall to straightaway right field in yesterday's game, and he short hops the right field wall with 2 outs to get the run in the first inning today. Nice to have a veteran guy like Perry in the lineup. That throw probably could have gone to third base. Not sure whether they'll give him a double and taking third on the throw or whether or not it was a triple. We'll wait and find out.
Randa backing up, and Brian Jordan will be out by a step. The Rangers settle for 1. But Herbert Perry hitting cleanup, getting the Rangers the early lead tonight. Right for Tony Peña's Royals early on in the season. They had the bases loaded, nobody out in the 9th inning. Down 1, they could not score. The Royals losing to the Rangers 3-2. Here's the Kansas City lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Mike Sweeney back in the lineup. And he is the best Royals hitter ever against the Texas Rangers by average, .361. Harvey, Randa, Santiago, Lopez to Jesus, and Blanco follow. Graffinino and Beltran get it going against Kenny Rogers. The Rangers leading by 1.
We'll take a look at the Rico scouting report on Kenny. 104 wins with the Rangers. One more and he goes past Bobby Witt into second place. He missed his last start with the flu. In fact, he lost 8 pounds with the flu. That was 8 days ago, so he hasn't pitched in 8 days. And of course, as we know, he has won the Gold Glove Award for a pitcher in the American League 2 times.
Kansas City has not had a Gold Glove winner in the infield since Brett Saberhagen in 1989. Got a pretty good center fielder though right now in Mr. Beltran. Well, Kenny Rogers at 3-0. Trying to become the first American League pitcher with 4 wins. There's only one in the National League with 4. And you may have heard of him. His name is Roger Clemens. I was looking at this today, Tom. Clemens also has a higher on-base percentage right now than both Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez.
Wow.
He's hitting the ball too. Graffinino rolls to Soriano, 1 down. Soriano was a big part of the Ranger win last night. And as you check the rest of the Ranger defense, Blaylock and Young on the left side of the infield again. Eric Young in left. Nix and Mensch the rest of the way in the outfield.
When you look at the Royals lineup, Josh, a little bit of a statistical unusual stat. 3 batters in the top 5 are hitting .313. In fact, Beltran and Graffinino are both 21 for 67. And Randa is almost the exact same thing. He's 20 for 64. You almost have 3 guys with the exact same amount of hits and at bats in the top 5 in the lineup. And we talked about the Rangers' top 3 in the lineup and how well they've done. Kansas City's top 3 are doing pretty well too.
Laird moving over. And he hangs on, so a .313 hitter in Beltran will dip down a little bit. Laird doing a nice job hanging in there with a swirling wind tonight, which takes us to our game within the game for this evening.
We're going to look at the dimensions of the ballpark. Remember, they've moved the fences back. It's a huge ballpark now. 410 to center. Actually 410 a little bit in right center and left center. And the weather conditions are a little bit tough tonight for an outfielder because of the way the wind is blowing. Looks like it's blowing from the right field foul pole to the left field foul pole. So we'll look at a couple of things, see how the longer dimensions come into play. They certainly came into play last night. A number of balls would have been home runs last year that were caught or went to the wall for extra base hits. And the second thing, we'll watch the outfielders and see if they have any trouble with the breezy conditions.
Rogers just missing to Sweeney. Yeah, during batting practice, I mean, I don't know about you, Tom. I was more interested in watching those flagpoles kind of wobble back and forth than actually tracking the flight of the baseballs.
Well, I was watching Herb Perry in batting practice.
Uh-oh.
Foul.
Curling, and it is a foul ball. Kenny hasn't allowed a home run all year, but that was pretty close.
Herb Perry hit a couple of balls up near the car in deep left center field, straightaway left field, which is a long blast. And watching the flag right now, it does appear the wind is blowing out toward left field, which, not that Herb can't hit a ball a long ways, but I don't know that he hits too many quite that far.
He's just following directions. It says, hit it here.
Hit it here.
Up and away to Sweeney.
Word was that the visiting player can't win the award. It has to be a home player that hits that car.
Well, that's not right.
Doesn't seem fair. Why go to the trouble to hit the car if you can't win anything?
They're taking aim at the Durango up on the hill.
What's in?
Just inside Sweeney. A 2-out walk. Players that have not played here before, and that goes for veterans like Brian Jordan and rookies like Gerald Laird. I mean, to a man, these guys walk out on the field and it's as if they're surprised that this place is as beautiful as it is. I mean, everybody's heard about Camden Yards and the ballpark in Arlington and some of the other newer ones. But when when you come out on this field for the first time, I mean, Gerald Laird said it took his breath away. He did not realize this place was so neat.
I think the thing for guys that haven't seen it but have seen some of the other parks that were built around the same time that are now being torn down and replaced.
Ken Harvey drives it deep to left. The wind will take it, but Eric Young will gather it in. We'll talk more about this ballpark as we go along tonight. Rogers survives the first. Rangers lead 1-0. It is officially right now hot ticket time. During the second inning of tonight's game, your chance to buy seats in the Fox Box for selected Ranger games back at the ballpark. The Fox Box located in section 215 up on the beautiful club level on the third base side of the ballpark, and those seats normally run you $20. If you call right now, they are $10 for the upcoming series against the Devil Rays this coming Monday through Wednesday. Call 817-273-5100. Duriel's on board tonight. Carol answering phones. Nadine, ask for either one of them. They will take care of you as the Rangers get set to come back home to play the Red Sox on Friday. And then the Devil Rays for 3 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Upstairs to Eric Young, who was able to fade back and grab a well-hit ball off the bat of Ken Harvey just a couple minutes ago. We are indeed eyeballing what the gusty winds are going to be doing to those baseballs tonight.
Eric's able to get back. It looked like that ball was hooking and sinking a little bit right to the base of the wall. And that's a point where the fences were much shorter last year, so that might have been off the wall last year.
That ball dribbling into left field. Eric Young has got himself a base hit. Takes a very wide turn before coming back. And remember, Eric has not played a lot of outfield. An infielder for many, many years in the National League. We talked to Eric before the game about what he's been told as to how to play left in this particular ballpark.
Well, from what I told, I really got to watch the corners down the foul line. The ball tends to take that little bounce where it can roll all the way over to center field. So I definitely have to be conscious of that. So, and pretty much that's all they tell. I don't think they want to tell me too much. It might scare me.
He's been doing a fine job so far, not just in this ballpark, but in what can be a challenging left field back home as well.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to play left field in this park now than it was in the old days when it was just as big a park and it was AstroTurf, and the warning track in the outfield was the rubberized material. Now the rubberized material goes foul line to foul line, but it's dirt in the outfield and it won't roll quite as fast on the dirt as it would on that rubberized surface. You see right there is the foul line, and this part's dirt and the other part is a rubberized material, which is great to have around the dugouts because you avoid all the dust and the mud when it rains.
Right.
Which is nice for broadcasters who don't have baseball shoes on.
Mensch pounds it into center field. The Rangers have 2 on here in the second inning. Buck Showalter was talking about that vulcanized or rubberized surface too before the game. But Buck's got some real keen ideas on what should be done to make things uniform in baseball as you check out Mensch's base hit. And one of his pet peeves, we were talking about the warning track. He says that some warning tracks are what he calls a 2-step warning track. When you're going full stride, you can take 2 steps before you kill yourself. Some of them, you got to give a scouting report that says, hey, this place is a 3-step warning track. And Buck poses a question, why not just make the warning track a uniform length and distance at every ballpark? Yeah,
you would think that would be a regulation that was in the rule book, how wide a warning track should be. Not necessarily what it had to be made out of, but how wide it should be. One thing, you come a lot less close to killing yourself running into a wall nowadays than you did 30 years ago, because regulations are that you have to have a padded wall. In the old days, that wall wasn't padded. It was a hard material. So you really had to watch the warning track because you didn't want to bump into that wall. Nowadays, you can get shaken up, but you probably won't break any bones.
Wrigley Field, another story.
Yeah, you can get lost in Wrigley Field. You go up into that wall, they can't find you. They can't find the ball.
Got to send a St. Bernard out there, try to get you down out of there. Ball and a strike to count to Nix with 2 on, nobody out. One thing that Buck said he tried in Arizona when he was managing the Diamondbacks, they basically turned a 3-step warning track into a 2-step warning track to put a patch of grass right before the wall, so the outfielders were told, okay, go full bore when you feel dirt, but as soon as it turns back into grass, you know you're about to crash.
No, yeah, that's what the grass right next to the wall, that just gives you a split second to know how hard you're going to hit the wall.
Nix takes a called 3rd strike. Tough at bat, some good curveballs from Jimmy Gobble.
Let's take a look at it. The one before it was a strike, and that's a nice one for a strike too. Kind of a sweeping breaking ball. That one looked like it might have caught the inside corner. I think Lance probably thought that was curving around the plate and inside when it went by the plate. But Gobble did get the call on it. Gobble was a high school draft choice in the sandwich round. That's the round between the 1st and 2nd round. He was the 43rd pick in the 1999 draft. So he's only 22 years old. Has never pitched in AAA. Last year he had a good year in AA and then had 9 starts in the big leagues. So he's probably a little bit inexperienced for the big leagues, but the Royals are confident that he can hold his own.
Mentioned a lot in trade talk last summer. He was one of the players the Rangers supposedly could have had from KC. Had Juan Gonzalez accepted that trade last summer.
If that in fact is the case, they missed a great chance to pick up a good young prospect, that's for sure.
Now the Royals have Gonzalez anyway, signed as a free agent, and they kept Jimmy Gobble. Slice one back in the crowd. You know, we talked earlier, Tom, about all the production from the top of the Ranger order. Young, Blaylock, and Soriano combining for 90 base hits already. But the bottom of the order hasn't been half bad at all. Lance Nix came into this game hitting .357. Gerald Laird is at .347.
Yeah, just remember that game over the weekend back home where they scored 13 runs, the 5th batter on. So to really click, the guys at the top have to get on, but you sure end up with a strong offense when the guys at the bottom of the order are getting the job done too.
Very strangely, the least productive part of the batting order statistically for the Rangers this year has been the cleanup spot. Although Herbert Perry tripled in a run. Now was scored a triple in the 1st inning.
I think as time goes on, the 4th spot can become a strength depending on who's hitting there, because Brad Fulmer is not off to a hot start. He's off to kind of a lukewarm start.
Runners are going, and look at this. Laird is going to beat out an infield single with the runners in motion, and that's what made it so.
Yeah, as soon as Randa went to cover 3rd, there was no one to field that ball. It was hit slowly enough to where the shortstop could get over. He didn't have a play, but you're right, Josh. Running on the play allowed that to end up an infield hit. There's the runner, and there's Randa going from right about here over to 3rd base. All he would have had to do is maybe take a couple of steps to his left, and he could have fielded that ball. Don't know if he could have turned a double play, but they definitely would have gotten an out on it. So moving the runners certainly helped.
The Rangers continue to be very aggressive running the bases this year. And all Andres Blanco could do is put the ball in his pocket. So the bases are loaded for Michael Young, who is 3 for 3 lifetime off Jimmy Gobble.
Now, last night both teams lost some opportunities for big runs by not capitalizing on bases loaded situations. Obviously the Royals in the 9th inning, bases loaded, no outs. That was the most dramatic time. But even the Rangers middle innings had a couple of times where they couldn't capitalize. I'd like to see them be able to break it open right here early.
Yeah, the Rangers had a bases loaded, nobody out situation, scored just once. Bases loaded here. Eric Young, Kevin Mench, Gerald Laird. On the ground, Randa's got it. Quick release to second, on to first, double play. Well, Jimmy Gobble made a nice pitch. And the Rangers unable to add to the lead, though they had the bases loaded. Alfonso Soriano, the defensive hero last night. Tonight we will hear from him. The Dodge Grab Life by the Horns feature. We'll be chatting with Alfonso later tonight. The Rangers trying to lay claim to sole possession of first place in the AL West. They lead 1-0 tonight. They were looking to put a hurting on the Royals in that top of the second. Had the bases loaded, one out. Michael Young hit into just his second double play all year. And now Randa, who turned the double play on Young, hits it right to Young, one away. And still Mike Young has committed the very low total, Tom, of only 2 errors all year. They were on back-to-back plays during the home opener.
Yeah, he's been pretty steady since then. Steady and makes all the routine plays and all the spectacular ones. He hasn't had anything go by him since then. He and Soriano are really working great together on the double play, too.
Buck Showalter talking about that before the game, noting how quickly Mike Young is now getting across the bag, knowing full well exactly where Soriano's toss is going to be on a 4-6-3.
Well, that's been the key, how accurate Soriano has been. Remember, one double play they didn't turn where the throw is a little bit low, but for the most part they've been chest high and led him perfectly as he comes across the bag. They've worked on that hard. Soriano mentioned it, that earlier in the season he was struggling with a backhand play up the middle. A couple of them clanked off his glove. He's been working on it, and that's the play that ended the game last night. The play up the middle. The other thing he said that I thought was interesting, he says, I've really worked on my defense, especially after the talk of playing the outfield. So that might have got his attention.
It scared him straight. Santiago flies to Mench, 2 down. Well, Tom,
I don't think that's why the Rangers did that, but
no,
that may have been a benefit of it.
Yeah, how badly do you want to keep playing second base? Well, bad enough to work your backside off. Okay.
I think the other thing that Alfonso has probably seen since he's been here is how hard this team works, period. And I think for a new player coming over, not that the Yankees don't work hard or he didn't work hard, but I think when you watch the coaching staff and how hard they work on all facets of the game, when you come here as a new player, you either get with the program or you stand out like a sore thumb.
Over to third, and Hank Blaylock, like it was no big deal, will take care of Mendy Lopez. Kenny Rogers very expediently out of the inning, and Blaylock coming up when we come back. The upcoming Ranger schedule brought to you by the Progressive Insurance Group. Don't forget, after the day game tomorrow here in KC, it's home to play the Red Sox Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Pedro Martinez expected to pitch on Saturday. And the Rangers will entertain the Red Sox for the first and only time this year. The other trips they make are to Boston. Coming into this inning, Tom, Jimmy Gobble had thrown 25 pitches, and the Rangers had 5 hits on those 25 pitches. Texas still leading the major leagues in batting average at .313.
5 hits in 2 innings, but only 1 run.
4 singles and a triple is the tally tonight. Blaylock close to the league lead in runs batted in. He's got 18. And Tom, it's not just that the Rangers are leading the league in batting average, it's by how much. I think that's most impressive. What is that, 24-point lead on the Orioles? Fouled into the Kansas City dugout. We had mentioned earlier the Rangers looking to grab sole possession of first in the AL West. Early indications are very good because the Angels are getting drubbed by the Tigers tonight, 7-2 in the 5th inning. Anaheim, the team tied with the Texas Rangers right now, the Jack-in-the-Box standings. We never saw that little yellow widget up that high last year, did we?
No, that's a pretty sight. And not the waterfall either.
Blaylock smokes it down the line. That's a fair ball. DeJesus has to go get it. He slips. And Blaylock will coast into second base with a leadoff double.
He kept throwing them in, and Hank kept ripping at it. Fouled a couple down the right field line, one of them off the handle. And Gobble kept it in there, and eventually Hank ripped it and kept it fair. He's trying to keep it in, which he did, inside part of the plate or more. Might not have been a strike. Doesn't matter to Hank, though. Got that powerful short swing.
Looking into that Royals dugout, Tom, there were no fewer than 3 Royals who were just pantomiming exactly what you said. I mean, different pockets of guys turning to one another, trying to express exactly what you just did, talking about Hank's swing.
Well, it's a powerful swing. It looks like a big swing, but from where he starts it to where he gets through the zone where you make contact, it's a short, quick stroke. And that allows him to rip that inside pitch.
Soriano trying to time that breaking ball, finds himself down 0-2.
Take another look at it up close. You can see Santiago gives the sign inside. The ball is pretty much where he wanted it, and there's that beautiful swing right off the good part of the bat and right down the right field line.
And again, the top third of the order being the absolute catalyst for what's been going right for the Rangers. 91 hits now for young Blaylock and Soriano. And just to compare and contrast, the Yankees' top third of the order, they've got 47 hits. What would that be? Jeter and
Jeter, A-Rod,
and Giambi.
Let's see. 22 million, 18 million is 40, and 15 million. Those 3 make 55 million. The Rangers 3 probably make, I don't know, 2 million, 7 or 8 million maybe.
Yeah, probably about right.
So they've got double the hits and about 1/8 of the salary. So dollar per hit. Rangers have got the bargain in that deal.
Now just keep doing that for the next 7/8 of the season, fellas. Well, Soriano getting a diet of breaking stuff here. Hangs around at 1-2.
You know, I think exactly what's happening is what the Rangers, I think, thought what would happen when they made the trade for Alex and got Soriano. Obviously, Alex is one of the greatest players in the game, and he was the name in the trade. But the one thing you knew, that Soriano's a good player in his own right. And there's not been that great a step down, the difference between Soriano and Alex.
Soriano pegs it down the right field line, hooking into the corner. That is a foul ball.
I mean, everybody thought the defense would suffer. I don't think that's been the case. Soriano now is playing a very solid second base. Michael's playing solidly at shortstop. The defense has not hurt them in the middle infield at all. Soriano brings speed. He's hitting 340. I mean, you like the way the lineup's clicking right now without Alex in it.
Hot shot. Blaylock Plesac is breaking the third, and he's going to make it. Literally beating Joe Randa to the bag. When Andres Blanco realized that was going to be the case, he changed his mind and threw out Soriano across the diamond.
Yeah, normally you don't go to third base on a ball hit in front of you with nobody out. And I don't think Hank went because he saw where the ball was. I think he goes right here because he knows he can beat Randa to the bag. The throw would have beat him by a mile, but there was no one there to get it. You can see Hank looking at Randa and saying, hey, I can get over there to third base. That's heads-up base running. A lot of times you see the ball hit in front of you, you just stay right where you are because that's the rule. Don't get thrown out on a ball hit in front of you when you're in scoring position like that.
The infield is in for Kansas City. Herbert Perry has already tripled in this game, just his 6th career Major League triple.
Based on the way Herb's been swinging the bat, he's a guy you like to see up in this situation, a veteran guy.
And he has no explanation for why he has clobbered this Kansas City team the way he has over the years. He says it's just one of those things, but Herbert is close to a career 400 hitter against the Royals. "20 runs batted in about 90 at bats. The Rangers 6 for 12 at the plate so far tonight. We mentioned they're the only big league team right now with a batting average of better than 300. The latest into a season they've ever been, Tom, still hitting 300, was a few years ago, that 2000 season. They were actually 44 games deep into the season before they dipped to 299. Be interesting to see how long they can keep this going. A lot of wiggle room right now. Got to be at 315 now. In on Perry. He pops it up towards the dugout and grabbed by Harvey. So not this time for Herb. The inning will be left to Brian Jordan. Brian Jordan has never played in this stadium, but he has played at the one across the parking lot. Bank of America higher standards. Remember, Brian Jordan played for the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, Gobbles made a couple of pitches when he had to. Bases loaded and 1 out. Got the double play. Man on third and 1 out. Got the ball in and got the foul pop up. Bryan in the first inning hit with Perry at third base this time and 2 outs. This time it's Blaylock at third base and 2 outs.
You'd like to reverse this trend. The Rangers have now had 4 at bats the last 2 innings with runners in scoring position, and they have not gotten the ball out of the infield in those 4 at bats. Brian Jordan hit the top of the curve in the late 90s. Had a great couple of years for the Cardinals. And for the Braves, too. He had 115 runs batted in for Atlanta one year. Again, Gobble gets it in on the hands of a Ranger hitter. 1-2. Jordan and Jeff Nelson, the 2 most veteran players that the Rangers have. Brian Jordan has 12 years of big league service, and until this year, all in the National League. Tried the fastball. 2-2. Hey, you look at the career numbers for Brian Jordan. 3 times he has hit 300 in a season. Twice has driven in 100 runs or more. Reaches out, pokes it towards right center. Beltran coming on, and he will make the catch. The Rangers do not score. Hard Hard to believe they've got just one run in this one. Kenny Rogers will try and keep the lead when we come back. Rangers take on Manny Ramirez and the Red Sox Friday through Sunday. Friday night, 50s themed post-game fireworks courtesy of Medical Center of Arlington. Call for tickets 817-273-5100. Here we go in the bottom of inning 3. And the Rangers, despite being only 1 of 7 with runners in scoring position, they lead the game 1-0. And that one hit they did get with a runner in scoring position was Gerald Laird's infield single.
Didn't score anybody.
Right. Now the one run came in on a Herbert Perry triple of all things tonight. Rogers shaving the corner to David DeJesus.
We ought to mention, Josh, that the Cookie ladies in town sent up some beautiful butterscotch brownies for us. Cal and Shirley Coast from Arlington.
Thank you, Cookie lady.
We always appreciate that. They wanted to say hello to some friends and family back home. Joe Gaston, Evelyn Friend, Mert Bungie, and Evelyn Bonine, more commonly known as Grits.
All righty then.
We won't go into the story about how she got her name, but anyway, from Shirley Coast, hi to all you folks. And thanks for the cookies.
The rookie DeJesus working Rogers deep into the count here. And Kenny Lawson walks the leadoff man here in the 3rd.
DeJesus walked with the bases loaded last night to make it 3-2.
But then he was induced to chase one. At a big point in the game in the 9th inning, Francisco Cordero threw one down around his shoe tops. And he rolled it to Soriano. That's when Soriano came home for the force in the 9th inning.
That was after 2 walks and the bases loaded, no outs. He swung at the first pitch, and that really was a break for the Rangers. Pitch looked a little bit low.
You know, you were thinking this might be another break too. Angel Baroa on the DL. Andres Blanco, an unheard of rookie, playing short instead, but he's been very good. Runner goes. This ball heading down towards the right field line. Minch has got it. Can he double him up? You bet. Kansas City trying a little hit and run, and it backfires big time.
That was a routine double play. So much advanced scouting goes into the preparation of a ball game. And Kevin was playing Blanco way over toward the foul line and shallow. And what looked like a sure base hit down the line turned into an easy out. The base runner, I don't think ever looks. Let's check the base runner out. He puts his head down and runs. And when the ball's hit, he never goes back to first base. And so he's an easy out at first base.
Graffinino now with a 9-game hitting streak. The very first pitch after the double play, he deposits it into center field.
You know, on a hit and run like that, if you're the base runner, you take a couple of steps and then glance into the hitter just to see where the ball is. By the time he sees where the ball is, it's too late. Of course, the shortstop's making it look like it's a ground ball to try to confuse him. But you're not confused if you look in and see for yourself where the ball goes. This shouldn't happen to you. You can see Young coming across the bag like it's a double play. The base runner has no clue because he never saw the ball.
Blaylock scoops it up. He'll go to Soriano to end the inning. Fine piece of acting by Michael Young. Helping out in that inning, Kenny Rogers able to coast right through it, leading 1-0. In Kansas City, Missouri, the Aflac Insurance Trivia question for tonight comes your way presently. As we play in the city where they do love their George Brett. Can you name the pitcher who gave up the famed Pine Tar home run? Back in the 80s. Got a chance to hang out with Mr. Brett a little bit yesterday. That is always a lot of fun. You talk about a guy who just loves the game, loves life. What a great ambassador for the game is George Brett. And thank goodness he doesn't swing the bat against the Rangers anymore. He's a restaurateur now as well, Tom.
I heard that.
George Bretz.
Serves some pretty mean key lime pie, I heard.
Eric Young, deep drive. Beltran going back, and he will grab it at the track. Yeah, I do recommend the key lime pie at George's restaurant.
There's another one of those borderline balls. When you look at the ballpark last year in the configuration, we've already talked about that. It's 410 now. It's more like 400 last year there, and that's about 10 feet short of the wall. So you're looking in last year's ballpark, Beltran going right up against the wall to try to catch that ball. Game within the game was the new dimensions and the wind. The wind doesn't seem to be a big factor today, although it looks like the ball might be carrying out to left field. I think the fielders can definitely sense that, and I don't think it's going to play a huge part. It may play a part in how a ball carries, but I don't think a player in the outfield is going to mess up a ball because of it.
It has definitely died down over the last few hours. No question about that. By the way, when is the ribbon cutting ceremony at Tom Greaves' restaurant, where the key lime pie
that
is also...
That is not even a concept right now.
No?
No.
Oh.
Not a concept. Too much work.
Mensch hits it off the glove of Randa down the left field line. Kevin Mensch on his way to second base. And guess what they're scoring that one? A double for Kevin Mensch, his 8th double of the year already.
He smoked that ball on one hopper past Randa. It's almost the same ball, though, that Hank Blaylock made the play on.
Yeah.
A one-hop smash. Hank backhanded it. Randa, who's a solid defensive guy at third, couldn't come up with this smash. Why don't you take one hop by him? He gets there, gets his glove out, but kind of kicks off his glove down the left field line. Maybe Kevin's starting another streak, single and a double.
Extra base hits in each of his last 5 games. He is one off the league lead in doubles now. Ronnie Belliard of the Cleveland Indians, believe it or not, has 9. Once again, the Rangers get a man in scoring position. Lance Nix down on the count 0-1.
Lance got a pretty good diet of curveballs the last time up. And you would think with a man in scoring position, he'll see some more this time.
Fastball upstairs. We don't see the Cleveland Indians for a little bit, Tom, but that Ron Belliard, who they got from the Rockies organization, what a great start he's had this year.
I'll say. 2nd
in the league in hitting. Behind Dallas native Lou Ford of Minnesota. He's leading the league in hitting right now at .418. Barry Bonds in a big slump in the other league, Tom. He's down to .484 for the batting average.
Dipped below 500.
I saw an incredible stat on Barry Bonds yesterday. There was a stretch, I guess going into yesterday's game, Tom, where over his past 50 plate appearances, he had been on base 39 times in 50 trips to the plate.
Well, he's featuring an on-base percentage of about 70%.
Nix lays off, goes up in the count 3-1. It's comical how far out in front he is of second place guys. I mean, not just the rest of the league, but I mean, Adam Dunn having a great year. Moises Alou, they're not even in the same area code with Barry Bonds right now.
I'm making my call right here.
Are you now?
Yep.
Lefty to lefty, huh?
Yep.
I got you down 3-1. Ground ball right side. Harvey backing up. Foot race coming. Got him at first base. Very close. Well, you almost had the RBI call anyway, but Harvey able to cut it off. That's a play he did not make yesterday.
Well, it's almost beat Gobble to the play. Harvey backtracked a little bit and then led Gobble perfectly toward first base. And it looks like it's a good call. Beat him by about a foot.
bases left to Gerald Laird. Hit and run base knock for Gerald last time. He takes off speed for a strike.
It's the third time someone's hit with a man on third and 2 outs. Twice Brian Jordan, and now Gerald Laird.
Well, the Rangers have had all kinds of opportunities to make this a 2-3, 4-0 game. Tried to buzz the fastball in there and missed. Michael Young would be next, top of the order. Reaches out and hits it right to Harvey. So the Rangers continue to get base runners on, but they continue to have a tough time getting him home. Still 1-0. Great. The Aflac trivia question, the pitcher who gave up the home run in the fabled Pine Tar game. You just heard from the duck, I believe. Yeah, it was the goose. One of the most talked about episodes of that season. George Brett didn't do too badly for a second-round draft pick, did he? They picked a guy named Roy Branch in the first round that year. The Royals did. Got into 2 big league games in his career.
There's probably a few other guys just like him picked in the first round.
Mike Sweeney laces one to left. Eric Young is back at the wall and he'll grab it.
That was a carbon copy of the ball that Harvey hit. I think they both hit it slightly off the end of the bat, and they both hooked it. So it never really took off and was kind of sinking as it got to the warning track.
By the way, coming up after the game, the Busch Light Southwest Sports Report. 30 minutes of nightly sports news dedicated to teams throughout the Southwest. You will see it after the ball game only on Fox Sports Net. +28 innings for Kenny Rogers in the books this year. He is still not allowed a home run. Although, as you say, Tom, a couple times tonight, Eric Young has had to backpedal in a hurry. And you thank your lucky stars about the decision to scooch those fences back this year.
And the way the wind's blowing, I can't imagine that either one of those guys hit those balls that well, because for that part of the field with the wind blowing out, both big, strong guys, if they got a hold of it, they probably would have gotten it over the wall. They had big swings and came close, but I think the ball hit off the bad part of the bat, not necessarily off the sweet spot.
Ken Harvey dropped from first in the league to third in the league in hitting yesterday. 0-2, belts it. Soriano couldn't get it. It sneaks by his backhand. And there is the first hit of the series for Ken Harvey. Hate it when it happens 0-2. Bring up the man they call the Joker, Joe Randa. Rogers ladles it right in there. Strike one.
Well, Kenny can hang on. The Rangers hang on, and he gets a win. It'll be the first time in his career he's ever started a season 4-0. Off to a good, solid start, and pitching pretty well considering he hasn't pitched in 8 days. And the fact that he lost somewhere between 5 and 8 pounds with the flu.
Rogers got Randa to hit the ball on the ground in the second inning for an out. Infield poised to double play depth here. Little looper beyond to Soriano. Sweeney will pull up and stop at second. And the Royals have their first real serious threat tonight. Benito Santiago coming up. Five-time All-Star, three-time Gold Glover, Santiago. You mentioned yesterday, Tom, he's closing in on some pretty good catchers in terms of number of games played. Jim Sundberg within shouting distance now. His own manager, Tony Pena, he will catch and pass him this year. Tony caught 1,950 games. Santiago coming close to 1,900 right now. He says he'd like to play until age 45, just like Carlton Fisk did. Fisk has the all-time record for games caught. 2,226 to beat Bob Boone by 1.
Santiago stayed in great shape. You can tell by the strength and how slim he is that he might be one of those guys that can play till he's 45.
It was in his late 30s that he enjoyed what was pretty much a John Travolta style renaissance. I mean, he was out of the game. He had washed out. Now he's back. And up in the count here, 2-1. He was a non-roster invite to Giant spring training in March of 2001. And by July of 2002, he was representing the Giants in the All-Star game. Outside. Mendy Lopez on deck.
If he walks Santiago, Lopez will get a chance with the bases loaded and 1 out. Seems like he's had that chance recently.
Yeah. As in yesterday in the 9th inning. Poked out of play. And the one thing that just screams at you in this game, I guess, Tom, is the fact that the Rangers had a 2-on, nobody out in the second. Bases loaded, 1 out in that inning, could not score. Had the leadoff double in the third, couldn't score. Had a 1-out double in the fourth. And now you look at a potential inning like what the Royals have going right now. And you kind of moan about the fact they couldn't punch any of those runners on in.
You have to give Gobble credit. He's only 22 years old, but he's pitched like a veteran with great poise.
Runners go, and that's ball 4. Well, heck, the Rangers worked out a bases loaded and nobody out. Just last night. Rogers has to tightrope out a bases loaded 1 down here in the 4th. Mendy Lopez hit a breaking ball to the backhand side of Soriano in this situation in the 9th inning. Alfonso said he cheated a little bit towards second base, knowing that the breaking ball was coming, knowing Lopez was probably going to swing, and he turned it into a double play. Ground ball to short this time.
That should work.
Lopez hits into another double play.
Fans don't like it either.
I'm sure Lopez isn't really thrilled either. Kenny Rogers is. Rangers still lead KC by 1. Texas Ranger Baseball on Fox Sports Net, brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. And by Aflac, ask about it at work. Also by Whataburger, just like you like it. In this game, there have been 7 at-bats with runners in scoring position and less than 2 out. And not a single hit.
2 bases loaded, 1 out double plays, 1 for each team now.
Mendy Lopez, my goodness, twice in the last 24 hours. Big-time bases loaded, 1 out situation.
You know, on his behalf, you at least have to give him credit for making solid contact. I mean, the ball last night, Soriano made a nice backhanded play on a ball hit hard up the middle, and that ball, although it's hit right at shortstop for a simple double play, was hit hard. So he's made solid contact. He's just hit it right straight at second, right straight at shortstop.
Mike Young towards center. Carlos Beltran on the march. Jimmy Gobble's got to be feeling a little bit of deja vu here, Tom, when he faced the Rangers last September. Mike Young scored in the first inning, and then that was it. Gobble made big pitches the rest of the night. And tonight, sure enough, Mike Young has scored the run in the first inning, and still that's the only run he's given up.
I think you have to be impressed with Gobble and his poise for a young pitcher. So many times you'll see a 22-year-old without AAA experience throwing 96 miles an hour without much of an idea where it's going. Gobble's the opposite of that kind of a pitcher. His fastball is 87 to 90. He's got a good curveball, deceptive motion, and a real good idea of how to pitch. Hasn't walked anybody tonight. They showed composure with men on base, and he's kept his team in the ball game at 1-0. So pretty good composure and ability to pitch for a young 22-year-old.
Outside to Blaylock here. Of course, we've been talking very glowingly about the poise exhibited by the Ranger youngsters. Adrian Gonzalez coming up, a 21-year-old, has done nothing wrong. Though he may be spending his last day here with the Rangers possibly. Mark Teixeira could come off the DL tomorrow. He is back in town after rehabbing for Frisco in a game yesterday. It's not for sure that that's the roster move, but Teixeira's got to play. Herbert Perry is healthy again.
And Adrian needs to play too.
Right.
One of the reporters asked Buck if he thought this experience would give Adrian more confidence when he goes back to AAA. And Buck said, yeah, it should. It also gives us more confidence the next time we need him, if in fact he is going down.
On the ground to Harvey, leading Gobble to the bag. Whoa. Gobble almost tripping over the bag, but 2 down in the 5th inning. Tom, got an email here from Kent in Oklahoma City talking about beginning to follow the Rangers back in 1974. He talks about some of the great young players: Sundberg, Hargrove, Burroughs, Grieve. He says you see similarities between that team and this year's team. That he wants to know if you've got a comment on that.
I think there's some similarities. I think if you look at the team back then and you look at Hargrove, Sundberg, Burroughs, Toby Harrah, 4 players that made all-star teams. In fact, Jeff was a most valuable player. That was a pretty good group of young players. I don't think it quite compares to the group of Ranger young players when you look at Blaylock, Young, Soriano, Teixeira, Gonzalez, Nix, Mench. I think there's more of them and a little more quality in the group that's here right now. Also, the performance at a young age, it's much greater now than it was back then. The big difference between the teams would probably be the pitching staffs. When you look at Fergie Jenkins, Jim Bibby, Jackie Brown, and Steve Hargan, 4 veteran guys, 4-man rotation, and probably together they won, you know, maybe 70 games. So a little more experience in the pitching staff, but some similarities as far as the young lineups.
Soriano strokes it deep into right center field. Beltran chasing, will not get it. It bangs off the bottom of the wall. And the Rangers collect another double. This time it's Soriano, and this time the extra base hit comes with 2 outs instead of 0 or 1.
Well, as far as our game within the game, it's another example of, I guess we're wearing it out, but there's been so many balls that have come into play with the fences being moved back. This is a drive to really the deepest part of the ballpark, right center field. It's about 400 feet right there. It short hops the wall. And last year, with the fences 10 feet closer, it probably would have been a home run. So we see another example of the fences keeping the ball in the ballpark, and most of them have been Ranger hitters that have hit them.
Perry has the only RBI in the game tonight. He'll have a chance to pick up another. Going back to that 1974 comparison, the year before that, the Rangers had won only 57 games. They added 27 to that total, going from 73 to 1974. Finished above 500, 84 and 76. Keeping in mind the Rangers won 71 games last year, I don't think anybody's expecting a 27-game improvement this year. That would take them to 98 and into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's pretty tough to accomplish.
But the one thing I will say is that 73 team had a 6-10 April. The 74 team kind of set a tone by going 13-8 in April. And the Rangers, if they win this one tonight, that's where they'll be, 13-8, heading towards the last day of April. I guess that 1973 team just collapsed at the end, huh? I'm looking at this month-by-month record in the media guide.
73 or 74?
73. They were 6-24 in August, and that pretty much wiped them out.
That'll tend to do it to you.
Of course, it's nothing like, well, and you and I have talked about this off the air. I couldn't believe the futility that first year in 72 in September. I didn't realize it. 3-23 in September.
How about 1970? The Senators lost the last 14 games they played.
Wow.
And I was an integral part of that, too. I told that story before. Ted Williams said to me with two weeks left in the season, son, you're going to play every day for the rest of the season. After 13 losses, he said, son, Lee May's playing today because I can't end the season 0-14. Okay, thanks. I guess it's my fault, huh?
Yeah, that's all you.
4 for 42? Heck, no one else was much better.
A couple years later, they up and moved. That's fine. You know what? Well, the Senators bottoming out. That's why they eventually became the Rangers.
Yeah. That's funny. At the time, no one with the Senators that I know of wanted to move. Everybody loved it there. We were a terrible team, but we loved it there. And then about 2 years later, everybody said, man, this is great. I'm glad we moved to Texas. Everybody loved it as soon as we got to Texas.
Well, see, you guys were the reason, you know, that in part that the great move was made to the Metroplex.
Yep, if we were a much better team, we'd never have moved.
We would have drawn better.
We were so futile that we worked our way out of Washington.
Well, on behalf of Ranger fans everywhere, thanks, man.
Thank you very much. 72 and 73 were not artistic successes in Arlington either. In fact, I think we drew a total of about 1 million fans for those 2 years.
Slowly hit to Blanco, who backhands and gets Herbert Perry. So once again, the Rangers get a man in scoring position, and once again, they leave him there. They do hold the lead, though, halfway through it. It is 1-0. So Red Sox make their only trip to Arlington this season for a 3-game series starting Friday. And on Saturday night, the first 25,000 fans get a free Rangers t-shirt, compliments of Dodge. Call for tickets, 817-273-5100. Or, of course, you can visit TexasRangers.com. Rogers to DeJesus and falls behind the rookie 2-0. 8 hits for the Rangers in this game, but only the 1 run. Over the years, as you check the Ford leaderboard, Kenny Rogers has done some pretty fancy pitching against his Kansas City team. DeJesus got hit on a 2-1 pitch. So he is still yet to put the ball in play tonight, but he's been on base twice, a walk, and now he's been hit by a pitch.
They're pitching today DeJesus like he's Babe Ruth. Walked him with the bases loaded last night. Kenny's walked him and hit him in this game. And he's not trying to hit him, and he's not trying to walk him. Hitting down near the lineup. Young player 1 for 10. Boy, throw him a strike. Which is exactly what Kenny was trying to do. The last thing he wants to do is put him on base to start the inning.
DeJesus is the runner, and young Andres Blanco will be the hitter. He's the youngest player in the major leagues right now, just 20 years old. Playing in place of Angel Berroa, who's on the DL with headaches. Berroa has been reminded that Wally Pipp once was asked out of action with a headache. 2,130 games later, he never did get his job back. Blanco, good young prospect defensively anyway, and he's handled the bat okay too. Tom, on the out-of-town scoreboard, as opposed to the in-town scoreboard, which is pretty simple, 1-0 Rangers here. White Sox a 5-run ninth this afternoon, came back to beat Cleveland 9-8.
Whoa!
They almost got him. Boy, DeJesus.
It's not like he hasn't seen this move. That's the third straight time he's gone over there.
He had that possum in the high beams look, though, for a moment. Oh, there he goes.
Well, he got back safely, but it was close. And Kenny has, as a veteran and a sneaky lefty, he's got different ways of varying that move to first base to give you a different look. There's a way he varies his delivery to the plate with that little slide step. No leg kick, almost impossible to steal on him when he does that. He doesn't do it every time, but he gives the runner at first a lot of different things to look at, so he can't really know for sure when he's going to go to a higher leg kick. One way to keep you from getting a good jump. Good pickoff move and a quick move to the plate.
There's the bunt. And a 2-time Gold Glover fielding his position very well. Rogers gets Blanco. It's a sacrifice. And a hot hitter coming up with a chance to tie the game. Tony Graffinino will be the batter for KC.
Seattle losing, Oakland losing, and Anaheim losing. A good night to win.
Now the Tigers now beating up on the Angels 9-2, though Troy Gloss has hit home run number 7. The Tigers at this time last year, Tom, they had 39 runs. This year they've got 109.
Wow. That's what adding Rondell White, Fernando Vina, Pudge Rodriguez will do for you.
Give you a plus 70. Now Seattle losing to the Orioles 3-1, heading to the 9th. The Rangers' next opponent, the Red Sox, shutting out Tampa Bay tonight 5-0. Rogers deals a strike. That's Curt Schilling, who went the first 7 innings of that game for Boston tonight. That means he will not pitch against the Rangers in this upcoming weekend series. His next game would be Monday or Tuesday.
It's too bad our fans won't get a chance to see Schilling, but it's probably a very good thing.
Oh, we do
but
have
the hitters don't have to face him.
There's a lovely parting gift, however. Pedro Martinez, who goes on Saturday for Boston.
When you face the Red Sox in a 3-game series and you face Schilling and Pedro, you've got, and especially if you get Derek Lowe, you've got a kind of a bad break. But if you can miss 1 or 2 of them, it doesn't mean The Red Sox still aren't a formidable opponent.
Breaking ball just missed, 2-2.
It's a little bit easier for the hitters.
Yeah, the Rangers actually do miss 2 of the big 3. Derek Lowe will not pitch in the series. Schilling won't pitch. They'll get Wakefield and Bronson Arroyo. The 4 and 5 starters and the big gun, Pedro. Minnesota's leading Toronto tonight 2-0. And the Yankees up on Oakland 4-1. Jorge Posada hitting home run number 8. That's the one Yankee who seems to be immune to the bad start. The rest of that lineup is under.
Yeah.
Ground ball, right side, base hit. Minch coming up with it. And he's firing towards home plate. It's not going to be in time. The game is tied. That's the kind of run the Rangers have been scoring all year. Hit batsman, sack bunt, single to right. And all those lost opportunities for the Rangers finally do catch up to them here in the bottom of the 5th.
A good job of hitting by Graffinino. That's a good pitch. That ball's knee high, probably a few inches outside. They waited on it, and he went the other way with it. Kevin gives it a good shot. Rushing all the way to get it in. Throws cut off. Graffinino has to stay at first base, but he's 2 for 3 on the night. Hitting .313 coming into the game, getting a chance to play every day. The Royals made a good sign right here. Graffinino's been a utility player his whole career, and he's playing very well as a regular now.
Carlos Beltran throughout his career has been outstanding against ground ball pitchers. Kenny Rogers, when he's on, gets a lot of ground balls. Beltran, though, 0 for 2 tonight. Last year, Carlos Beltran becoming the first ever switch hitter to hit above 300 with 25 homers and 40 steals. You were talking about this yesterday, Tommy. Lowered his strikeout total considerably from 135 down to about 80.
Yeah, that's a 27% drop. Pretty dramatic drop after playing for 6 years, 5 or 6 years.
In there for a strike, 1 and 2. Lance Nix no longer has the at-bats to qualify for being top 3 in slugging percentage. Beltran is number 3 right now. Dallas native Lou Ford number 2 behind Gloss. Back this way, still a ball, 2 strikes. The numbers really are staggering for Beltran, and maybe because it's small market Kansas City, it doesn't get a lot of play, but 3 straight seasons of 100 runs batted in and 100 runs scored and 30 steals. Chased in left center field. Nix is there. And the second out of the inning in the books. Sweeney with a sore wrist has missed the last 6 games for the KC Royals. He did pinch hit last night. Always a dangerous hitter, Tom, but never was that more apparent than last year. He just crushed Ranger pitching all summer long. What was he, 13 out of 25 against the Rangers last year?
Well, one of the reasons the Royals fell out of contention was the injury that he had. Before the disabled list, he was hitting way over 300, had a .440 on base percentage, and afterwards he hit about .260 with a .325 on base percentage. Definitely affected by the injury. Got got that C on his jersey, meaning he's been selected as captain of the team. Not every team has a captain.
In too snug. 3 balls, no strikes. This is one of those lead by example guys. Mike Sweeney, also known as one of the flat out nicest guys in the American League.
Except when he gets hit by a pitch too often.
Yeah, ask Jeff Weaver about that. You're right. Sweeney, though, still refuses to swear, which leads to some funny sounding sounds out of that dugout when he's disappointed or angry. I mean, he'll scream like a gorilla, but refuse to form words that your children shouldn't be exposed to.
I'd love to hear what was coming out of his mouth when he went after Weaver.
Base hit to left. And Kenny Rogers with a little dag nabbit up there on the mound. Says the worst he's ever heard come out of Sweeney's mouth is criminy.
Well, they're obviously a different lineup with him in it. Different lineup when Burrow was playing too.
Juan Gonzalez, though, not in the lineup tonight, and that you would think helps out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you get Juan and Sweeney going well in the middle of that lineup with Randa, Beltran right there with him. Heck, Harvey's hitting close to 400. You got a lot of guys that can hit.
2 on, 2 out, and it's slugged down the left field line by Harvey into the corner. Home run. And Buck Showalter is going to argue the point. It was called fair immediately by Tim Welke. Mike Young raced over and said no, it wasn't. Welke's going to get some help just to make sure here.
Well, if they change the call, you're going to get Tony Pena come flying out of the dugout.
It's either 1-1 or 4-1, and we're going to find out right here.
At least they're talking about it.
Tony Pena.
This is pretty predictable.
Wipe out the 4, folks. It's a 1. That is a foul ball upon further review. Mike Young was the first to shoot on over there to Tim Welke. Buck Showalter sprang out of the dugout. There is no instant replay in baseball. The umpires can confer. A third base umpire can ask a second base umpire, a home plate umpire.
I don't think there's any doubt in Harvey's mind. He's got his helmet back on and he's up at home plate waiting to hit. Almost like he knew it was foul. Now, Harvey hit a ball like this earlier in the game, a sinking, hooking line drive. Now watch the ball. If you don't lose sight of the ball, it can't be a home run. So you see the ball now, keep watching. You never lose sight of the ball. It's a foul ball. In order to be a home run, you'd have to lose sight of the ball behind the pole. And you can see the ball right, well, let me get it, right there. You never lose track of the ball. You can see it all the way, and you have to give the umpires credit. It was called a home run. They conferred, and they made the right call. Great camera shot, and no doubt about it. Kenny Rogers saw it. He came running from the mound.
Kenny still has not allowed a home run this entire year. Now, though, he's got to still get Ken Harvey.
I think that's a tougher call for the third base umpire, who loses track of the ball and has to pick it up when it goes by the foul pole. Probably easier for the other umpires who can see it off the bat and never lose track of the ball. I'm glad I didn't write that down in my scorebook. I'm using pen tonight.
Tim Welke, the umpire last October, Tom, who had one controversial situation after another. He acquitted himself very well. Game 3 of the ALDS between Oakland and Boston was a year's worth of controversy. controversy in one game. Welke also the guy, Tom, that had the strangest play at the ballpark in Arlington all last year when Javier Valentin of Tampa Bay hit that ball off the mid part of the wall down the right field line. And it shot over the wall somehow. He called it a ground rule double. Lou Piniella went berserk.
That's when Lou ran out to the right field wall.
Yep. But I was very impressed last year, not just with that one, but in the playoffs when Welke in that Boston-Oakland series. I mean, there was just all kinds of crazy stuff going on in that playoff series. And he seemed to get all of it right. How about this time? Put it down. It is a 3-run home run.
Well, that's unbelievable. Harvey's going around the bases like it was an inside the park home run. Give him credit. Thought he had, well, he circled the bases twice. Once it didn't count, and this time it did count. Good guy went deep twice.
Boy, you sure don't see that very often. They took it away from him, and he grabbed it back. Randa floats it to right. Harvey hit 2 home runs, one of them counted. And that's the one that makes it 4-1. Slam inning brought to you by Sonic. The jackpot worth $200 plus tickets to a Ranger game and dinner for 2 at Sonic. Good luck to Shirley Colon from Garland. If a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, we give Shirley $25,000. You can register at any North Texas Sonic restaurant. What a bizarre bottom of the 5th inning. The Royals end up taking a 4-1 lead. Ken Harvey hit one that first was called a 3-run homer, and then they said it wasn't, and that was the correct call. It sure did look foul. But then the very next pitch, he hit one that stayed fair, and it is a 3-run homer to make it 4-1. One of the longtime voices of the Royals, Fred White, came in between innings, reminded us that it happened in the '85 World Series here in Kansas City. Darryl Motley. Here's Jordan. He booms one into left center field. Beltran fading back on it at the wall, and there's another one that would have gone out last year. But with the fences back this year, it does not.
Looks like the Royals knew what they were doing when they moved those fences back. I mean, I think the Rangers last year in this park would have had 5 home runs, 5 extra home runs. The ball Blaylock hit last night would have been a home run. The ball Herb Perry hit off the wall would have been a home run. That certainly would have been a home run. Soriano hit one to right center. That's 4 just right off the top of my head that would have been home runs last year.
Sweeney, Gonzalez, and Beltran are legitimate home run threats in the Kansas City lineup, but knowing that that's pretty much it, and as you say, Tom, with all the young pitching they have here, I guess it was the right time to do that. The Royals have never had a 40 home run hitter. Best ever was Steve Balboni with, I think, 36.
When John Mayberry was, whatever he hit, 31 to 35 home runs, that's the equivalent of 45 home runs.
Yeah.
When you look at what 30 home runs was back then, if Mayberry was hitting today, he would have been a 40 home run guy because he was a legitimate power guy.
High fly ball heading to left field. Blanco all the way back there will let it fall. Young trying for second base, and he's in there.
Well, that's what you get when you have a shortstop playing left field. That was his ball all the way. I mean, Blanco ran 50 yards to try to get that ball, but, you know, to Mendy Lopez's credit in left field, he has not played much in left field. He's more of an infielder. And that was kind of a fly ball mistake waiting to happen.
Blanco simply waves him off, it looks like.
Yeah, but in that case, the left fielder's got to call the shortstop off. That's not the shortstop's call. He can call for it all he wants, but Lopez has to call him off because it's an easier play for him.
It goes as the 9th Rangers hit of the night already. And yet again, Tom, the Rangers get a runner in scoring position with less than 2 out. They have done nothing, though, in this situation tonight.
Well, you really want to take advantage of this situation. You get a gift double with 1 out, and you'd love to be able to put at least 1 run on the scoreboard right here to get right back to 4-2. I think when you look at the last inning, at some point in time, you're probably going to have some damage done by the middle of the lineup. But if Kenny looked at that inning, I think he would say the thing that bothered him the most was hitting David DeJesus to start the inning in the first place.
Boy, the Rangers have 5 extra base hits tonight, but only 1 run. Young taking off, and Santiago has the ball get away. It's a daring play down 4-1. Eric Young steals the base.
Santiago was ready to come up firing, but the ball bounced, and he couldn't short hop it and make the throw at the same time. You got the veteran base stealer, and Santiago tried to pick it and couldn't come up with it.
And the infield stays back here with the count of 2-0 to Kevin Mench. He tags it down the left field line towards the pole. That one is foul. Definitely foul. We'll take you back in just a little bit to the Ken Harvey at bat from the bottom of the 5th. That's where all the controversy was and the high drama. Boy, Harvey's got his hits tonight, Tom. Down in the count both times. 0-2 single. And the home run was on an 0-1 pitch.
And his other at-bat was a line shot to the warning track in left field. He's put 3 pretty good at-bats up there tonight.
Oh, Mench took a big cut.
Probably wasn't a strike, but it's a pretty good pitch to hit a fly ball with, which is what you're trying to do right here. Curveball that stayed way up, but if he gets a hold of that, he might not be able to hit it out of the ballpark, but he would have hit a fly ball to score a run.
Well, runner at third, less than 2 out. Mench knows he's got to get this guy in. And he will. Base hit left field for Mench. Kevin is 3 for 3 tonight. And a 300 hitter for the year.
Oh, Kevin's, he's a tough out right now. Quick swing, kind of a 2-stroke approach, not much movement. And make solid contact to get that run in. Good job.
Well, the Royals will consider getting the bullpen busy now. Lance Nix will be coming up. Let's take you back to that bottom of the 5th inning. Ken Harvey.
We're going to look at the pitches to Ken Harvey. This is the one on the left that goes foul. Fastball. This is the one on the right that's fair. It's the exact same pitch. I think Kenny wanted to get both pitches inside a little bit more. He got too much of the plate, and Harvey pulled the first one foul, barely, and hit the next one into the Ranger bullpen on the exact same pitch.
Rangers back to within 4-2 though now. And Nix becomes a tying man. Action in the Kansas City bullpen. That is Jason Grimsley. Jimmy Gobble calling for some help on the mound now. Not really sure what this is about.
there's a pitch last inning, I think, that he followed through awkwardly toward third base. I don't know if he's got a leg injury, a groin injury, or what.
I thought I saw him point to his forearm, but now the way he's stretching his legs, I think you're right, Tom. Something down below the equator there. He will leave with a count of 0-1 on Nix, and instead of it being a lefty-lefty matchup now, if indeed Grimsley is the man that's going to come on, well, Lance Nix will be up there against a hard-throwing righty instead of a curve-balling lefty. 4-2 game. We'll come back in just a moment on Fox Sports Net. This week's Big 12 Showcase comes to you from historic Prairie Dunes Country Club in Hutchinson, Kansas. A wrap-up of both men's and women's golf championships, plus updates on the heated baseball and softball races. The Showcase with Bill Land Fridays and Saturdays on Fox Sports Net. Here in the city of Fountains, Kansas City Mo, Jason Grimsley out of the bullpen, native Texan.
You're talking about the lefty-lefty matchup, Josh. Tony Pena doesn't have a lefty to go to. Dennis Reyes is his only lefty in the bullpen, and I think he's pitching tomorrow.
He is. Instead of Darrell May, who's out with a strained thigh muscle. We just saw Jimmy Gobble hobble off the mound. Sorry. Gobble hobble. And Grimsley trying to reverse the fortunes of this Kansas City bullpen. They had gone 12 games in a row at one point, allowing at least one run. Lately, they've been a lot better. I thought they were excellent yesterday. Grimsley getting some extra time to warm up here because of the injury to Jimmy Gobble. And Gobble leaves, Tom, having allowed 10 hits, but only 2 runs.
Yeah, he pitched with a lot of composure when he had to get outs. And in this inning, Eric Young's double was a very catchable ball, one that should have been caught. I have to give him credit. He pitched a good ball game. Don't know what his injury was, but he looked like he had a little limp when he came off the field. Kansas City's been plagued by a lot of serious injuries this year. The last thing they can afford to have happen is one of their guys in the rotation. They just lost Kevin Apier. Gobble got his start. Don't know how serious his injury is. Runelvis Hernandez, one of their best starters from last year, is out for the year. Miguel Asensio is on the disabled list. Kyle Snyder, another young kid with a lot of ability, on the disabled list. So they've had some injuries, and there's only so much depth that you can have in the starting pitching position. So if Gobble's going to have to miss a start, combined with May, that really puts a strain on your staff.
Well, the Rangers trail this game 4-2. They've got a run in the 6th inning. 0-1 the count is Grimsley will take over. Lance Nix did hit a home run off a lefty on Sunday. Nice catch up there on the hill. He also hit one off a righty. Second career 2 home run game as a big leaguer for Lance. He doesn't mind this pitching change. 378 batting average against right-hand pitching. Mensch, the runner at first. And Nix belts it into right field immediately. Mensch will pull up and hold at second.
And the interesting thing about that pitch was we just showed his 2 home runs. One against the lefty, one against the righty over the weekend. Both of them belt high fastballs on the inside part of the plate. And the first pitch Grimsley throws him is a belt high fastball on the inside part of the plate. And he hit it off the good part of the bat. He just got on top of it a little bit and rolled the single into right field. From those 3 pitches that we just saw, probably not a real good place to throw him right now.
Gerald Laird is 1 for 2. When he hit the ball softly, he got a hit. When he hit the ball hard, it was an out. High strike to Gerald, 0-1. The Rangers have, Tom, in this 2 games played of this series so far, not even 2 games, 21 base hits, but they've scored only 5 runs.
Well, it's certainly not too late to do some damage with men in scoring position, even with that 3-run homer. Still a 2-run ball game and plenty of outs left.
You said something interesting there. 3-run homer. Off of Grimsley. Look at this play. Blanco able to get the out at second base. The whirlybird. Score at 1-6-4, and a tough break right there for Laird.
Well, last night, Affeldt kicked the ball into right field on a ball similar to this hit up the middle. Although this one looked like it was headed straight up the middle for a base hit. Boy, it was knocked down. Nice play. Change of direction play.
He changes direction there and there.
Pretty nice. Pretty nice play by the youngster at shortstop.
So the inning left to Michael Young, who was 1 for 3. And the slider missing from Grimsley.
Gerald had an RBI single up the middle taken away from him on that play. That ball was hit hard and directly over second base. Last night, the ball that Affeldt kicked looked like it was going towards second base, and that Graffinino had a play on it. But that looked like it was headed straight up the middle.
Catching the outside corner, Grimsley squares it here 1-1. Rangers trying to continue a winning streak, get it from 4 games to 5. Kansas City, meantime, has lost 10 of 12, but the Royals lead now by 2. Tying man is on. Young trying to hold back. He did not, says Gary Cederstrom.
Generally, the side view shows a swing. That didn't look like a swing from our vantage point. Let's look at it from the real vantage point. Yeah, that's probably through the zone. That's one of those borderline calls, but generally speaking, that's called a strike most of the time.
Trying for that outside corner again. Didn't quite get it there.
Grimsley throws one of the hardest sinkers in the league. That last one was 96 miles an hour.
Wow.
And with that kind of movement, it's not an easy thing to hit. The other side for the hitter is that's pretty much all he throws. He doesn't have much in the way of an off-speed pitch. That's his bread and butter, the hard sinker. There's a slider.
And Young works the count full. Blaylock on deck. Plenty of base runners for the Rangers tonight, but only 2 runs for now. Laird will get going from first. Outside, Blaylock coming up.
Just missed, but it definitely looked like a ball.
Keeping in mind it is the sonic slam inning. The Rangers have the bases loaded and Blaylock stepping in. Hank has 4 home runs this year. Sean Camp in the Royal bullpen. They're going to stay with the veteran Grimsley here for sure. Ground ball. Boy, Grimsley made his pitch. Blaylock is out. The Rangers strand 3 more. They do get back to within 2, however. A 4-2 lead for Kansas City. Which never lies. Heck, it's in the shape of a crown. It's a regal scoreboard. It would not tell a half-truth or an untruth.
It's been there a long time, too, since 1973.
It's good to be the king. Yeah, Seattle lost to Baltimore 3-1. The Mariners just not scoring runs.
All right.
Lopez takes the strike, 1-1. Anaheim got creamed by the Tigers tonight. Gave up 15 hits and lost 10-2.
Was that Cologne that started that game?
I will check for you.
In the pitching matchups, it said Cologne. Sometimes they're wrong.
There's your updated standings. Mike Maroth over Bartolo Colon.
That's what do you call those?
The reverse lock.
The reverse lock.
It looks like such an incredible mismatch on paper that it can only go the other way. The reverse lock. Mike Maroth was a 21-game loser last year.
I've got a lot of admiration for Mike Maroth, the way he handled that, the way he's gone about his business this year. I don't know him from the man in the moon, but everything I've read about him and his quotes leads you to believe he's a young kid with a lot of character.
The man on the moon has a terrific slider.
Does he?
The scouts were raving about that over dinner.
I heard he's got a lot of character, too. Don't know if he ever lost 21 games in 1 year.
Lopez off the end of the bat. Mensch will wait for it. And now 2 down.
Little one-hand grab out there.
Oakland lost to the Yankees 5-1. Mark Mulder drops to 2-2. Minnesota is leading Toronto 3-1 in the 7th inning. Toronto called up that Justin Miller, the tattooed wonder, to make that start tonight.
Is he the one that had to wear a long sleeve to cover the tattoo?
Yep. Tattoos. He's tattooed on something like 70% of his body. And the complaint from the home office was it was just too distracting to the hitters. 1-1 the count to DeJesus. Got to get something simple like Mensch or Blaylock. You know, just something up on the bicep, up around the shoulder. Leave it alone.
You ever tempted to get a tattoo?
Nope.
Because of the look or because of the pain?
Oh, I think a little bit of both. I don't know how many people would really buy the tough guy act from a guy who's 5'0" anyway. Give me the barbed wire around the bicep, baby. Yeah. Down and outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You can see Mensch's tattoos at all. When the Rangers finally go with the sleeveless uniforms and no t-shirt this year, which Buck Showalter vows they will do at some point for the full Ted Kluszewski effect. Mensch will show them off for you. He's got one in Japanese that he says means power. And we just have to trust him.
Well, he's showing some power. Watch out.
Of course, he's also got the Philadelphia Eagles logo on there, and we'll forgive him for that if he comes through with that power one. If he hits 30 home runs, he can put the New York Giants on there too for all we care.
He's swinging the bat pretty well right now. He had the 4 hits over the weekend. He's got 3 hits tonight.
Just outside. DeJesus has been pitched to in this series like he's made out of plutonium.
I swear it's not DeJesus, it's Ruth. David Ruth.
Already a walk. He's been hit by a pitch tonight. Had a bases loaded walk yesterday. Now he's down on strikes. Kenny finally says that's enough of that. This kid's 1 for 10. I'm going to go get him.
Yeah, the bad thing is if he took that pitch, it would have been ball 4.
Well, in the scorebook it says K. That's all right. 4-2 Kansas City. Texas Ranger baseball on Fox Sports Net, brought to you by Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom, and by Ricoh. How well do you print, copy, scan, fax? How well do you share? Well, the Rangers have had plenty of opportunities tonight to bust it open. Instead, they trail at 4-2. But there's time left here. We head to the back third of the game. And the Kansas City bullpen, which has struggled this year, is being put into action. Here comes Sean Kemp.
Kemp was signed last year as a minor league free agent in the offseason. This will be his 6th game. Kind of of a career minor leaguer, 28 years old, getting the opportunity to pitch in the big leagues now. It's got to be an exciting time for him, making a big league team to start the season after spending his entire career in the minor leagues.
He and Buck Showalter have something in common. They've each spent 3 full seasons as a Nashville Sound. When the Yankees had their Double-A team in Nashville, Buck spent some very productive years in Nashville. Not the least of which was the year he met his wife. Probably the most productive year of all. Rangers have 3, 4, 5 in the order up here in the 7th inning.
Oh, boy, that's a nasty slider.
The Rangers ran into a guy like that with Toronto early last year, Aquilino Lopez. We had never seen him, never really heard of him. He kept snapping off those sliders just like that.
Oh, you see a kid for the first time throw 3 pitches like that, and you say, wow, I wonder where he's been all these years. Those 3 pitches will get a lot of hitters out. Sometimes all a pitcher or player, for that matter, all they need is an opportunity. They get labeled as a minor leaguer, and they never get the chance to be in the big leagues. And then they get an opportunity with a team. You sign them as a minor league free agent, go to spring training, make an impression, and reel off 4 or 5 years in the big leagues. That's a pretty good sinker slider guy.
5
big league stuff.
5 pitches. They've all been strikes. Trying to preserve this for Jimmy Gobble, who went 5 1/3. Kenny Rogers all the way for the Rangers so far tonight. The Rangers will have to rally if indeed Kenny's going to start 4-0 for the first time as a big league player. Perry will loop one beyond Blanco, and it drops. That's a dozen base hits for the Rangers now tonight.
Herb was able to get the slider a little bit off the end of the bat and just loop it over shortstop for a base hit. If the Rangers can put some runs together. Pretty good pitch right off the outside corner. Kenny's battle tonight, pitched a fine game himself. 1 pitch to Harvey was the 3-run homer. Actually, it was 2 pitches. 1 went foul and 1 went fair.
Big rip by Jordan.
But as usual, you put Kenny on the mound and he battles through at least 5, 6, 7 innings and gives you a chance to win. And that's right where the Rangers are now. Just they've had a hard time coming up with a key hit.
Yeah, the Rangers have had 13 at bats, Tom, with runners in scoring position tonight, but they are just 2 of 13. And one of those hits was an infield hit that didn't drive in a run. Wow, more strikes from Camp, nothing but.
Well, when you consider Kenny hasn't pitched in 8 days and he's had the flu and he's lost some weight, he's had pretty good stamina, pretty good stuff.
On the ground to short. 6-4-3 double play. At the stretch at Kauffman Stadium, it stays 4-2. In Kansas City, it's 4-2 in favor of the Royals. So look at that. The Rangers are doubling up the Royals in the hit department, 12-6. And Kenny Rogers continues on the mound, getting close to 90 pitches for the night. 9-1-2 in the Kansas City batting order here, starting with young Andres Blanco. Three-run homer by Ken Harvey in the 5th. A second chance home run after he had yanked one just foul. It was originally called fair.
You know, occasionally you'll see a guy hit a long ball just barely foul and then come back and hit a home run. I don't know that I've ever seen someone hit one that close and actually circle the bases and go into the dugout, be called back, and then on the next pitch hit a home run. That's pretty remarkable. walk toward first on one right down the middle.
Kenny Rogers literally twice the age of the man at the plate. Boy, Mensch has had him played pretty well tonight. The ball carries, though. Well, the wind that we thought might come into play just did right there. That ball looked like it was going right to Mensch.
That looked like a flare.
Mensch had to gallop back. He's still gazing up at that flag.
Yeah, I think this ball really fooled him. You know, it looks like the wind's still blowing from right field to center field. But that ball got up in the jet stream. That was just a little blooper off the bat. But Kevin, with a good reaction, good speed, ran it down.
Graffinino chops it foul.
Royals have turned some nice double plays. Graffinino, quick hands at second base, does a great job of turning it.
Carlos Fables was supposed to be the next great thing at second base for the Royals, and he's
never quite happened.
Nope. Graffinino's looking like a strong pickup. Here's a flare. Young coming on, leaving his feet. He tips it away from Lance Nix. It'll go as a double. All-out effort from EY in left field.
So we were talking about Camp, who came in to pitch as a career minor leaguer, and looks like he has the stuff that probably would have been good enough to pitch in the big leagues before this. And you look at Graffinino, who's been kind of a utility infielder, never had 300 at-bats in the big leagues, kind of labeled as that kind of player. But the Royals signed him and gave him a chance to play every day. And it's only 3 weeks of the season, but 3 hits tonight puts him somewhere around 330 or 340 for the year, playing a solid, steady defense at second base. Who knows, maybe if he was given a chance earlier in his career to play regularly, he would have had a different career thus far himself.
Well, what a great job Rogers has done with Beltran tonight. Perry moving with the wind to grab it and keep Beltran hitless tonight. Buck Showalter coming out. Mike Sweeney is next up. He had some right-handed pop about to come to the plate. Sweeney, Harvey, Randa, Santiago, and Doug Brocail will make his Ranger debut. Veteran right-hander coming on for the veteran left-hander. Rogers leaves, trailing 4-2. We'll come back in a moment on Fox Sports Net. Second chance, 3-run home run is the difference in the game. The Royals lead 4-2. I guess the other thing we should point out, Tom, is some missed Ranger opportunities.
Well, they've had base runners. That was bases loaded and 1 out. And Michael Young, who's been getting big hits all year, grounded into the double play. Line drive with a man on third base. Just haven't been able to do it. They've several times had 2 outs and a man on third. A line drive by Gerald Laird. And then a hard ground ball to second with the bases loaded by Hank Blaylock. So ball's hit solidly, but just not able to find a hole. And Doug Brocail, fine major league season, coming back from several years of injuries to get back to the big leagues.
Yeah, this is a pretty big moment for Doug Brocail. All that he's been through. He's had some great years. You Astro fans will remember Doug Brocail had some solid opportunities in Houston. He's pitched for Detroit. He's pitched for San Diego, but he's missed a couple of years. He's got to come back and look at Mike Sweeney, however. Sweeney 5 for 7 lifetime against Brocail with a pair of home runs. But yeah, Brocail is going to turn 37 years old next month. Fastball, cutter, slider, curve. And the elbow is holding up okay on him, he says. Gets ahead of Sweeney, 1-2. Doug Brocail, when he's on, he doesn't give up home runs, and that's a good thing. He allowed just 2 of them in a full season in 1998. Only 3 in his last full season in the year 2000 as a Detroit Tiger. He got him. Doug Brocail's got to be pretty pleased with how that went. makes it 4-2 Kansas City. Well, Kenny Rogers went 6 2/3. He allowed 7 hits, 3 walks, 4 runs. And the Rangers trying to grab the lead back here, facing Sean Kemp of the Kansas City Royals in the 8th. Eric Young to lead it off. He's been 2 for 3 tonight.
Well, I got a game for you.
Okay.
Watching the scoreboard. Cincinnati a little while ago was ahead of Milwaukee 9-0, and it's 9-9 now.
You boy. They played an incredible game yesterday.
Cycle or walk-off home run. There's been some, yesterday, watching the highlights from yesterday's games, there were some great games. Jock Jones had a walk-off homer.
Rangers looking to generate some excitement tonight, but they have been stuck in neutral for a lot of the night tonight, Tom. 2 runs on 12 hits.
It's been a game unlike the Ranger offense the first part of the year. Generally, in this kind of a game, they'd have 7 or 8 runs. Kenny Rogers has pitched well enough to be right in this ball game. He had the 4-run 5th inning, and that's been all he's given up. He really battled tonight, pitched a solid ball game. Now, most nights that would hold up for a Ranger win. We're going to have to come back here with the 8th and 9th innings left.
Young couldn't get it. Well, that's some nasty stuff from the career minor leaguer Sean Kemp.
Yeah, he may have been a career minor leaguer, but what he's showing tonight is not minor league stuff, that's for sure.
I just confused him with the former center for the Supersonics. It's not Sean Kemp. Sean Camp. Yep, sorry. At least I didn't call him Benoit Benjamin. Hey, by the way,
as far as I know, Sean Camp doesn't have 8 children either.
That's not in the media guide somehow. Hey, in that Milwaukee-Cincinnati game, a certain Ben Grieve had a big home run, says here.
That's a pretty good comeback from 9 down.
The all-timer was 3 years ago. The Indians were down 12-0 and 14-2 to Seattle. Came back with 3 in the 7th, 4 in the 8th, 5 in the 9th to tie it, and won it in extra innings.
I remember that game. I remember it because Mike Bassick was pitching in that game.
Yeah, that's right.
Son of Mike Bassick, who used to pitch for the Rangers, Duncanville star. And he really battled in that game. Gave up some runs early and then kind of hung in there, and the team kept scoring, and they came back and won.
Aaron Seeley started for Seattle, as I recall.
How do you think Lou Piniella felt after that game?
Like eating that straight brim hat.
That one might have been so bad even Lou couldn't get upset with it.
Mensch slowly towards second base. 2 down. Folks, all kids 13 and under are invited to sign up for the Dr. Pepper Junior Rangers Club. You get ticket vouchers, a Rangers cap, wristbands, monthly gifts, an invitation to the Meet the Rangers series. To sign up, just go to TexasRangers.com. Love to have you in the Dr. Pepper Junior Rangers Club. Nix will put it on the ground to Graffinino. Bing, bang, boom. They go in order here in the 8th inning. And the Rangers will be left to one last chance after they get through the bottom of the 8th. That's coming up after this.
Dominica República in Summer League. I'm so young. And I so proud because I'm so skinny. When I hit my first home, I take like a 2 nights for no sleep. Think about my home.
Alfonso Soriano grabbing life by the horns, brought to you by Dodge, where we grab life by the horns every day. Soriano won the game last night with his defense. At the plate tonight, 1 for 4. The Rangers have a dozen hits, Tom, but they're trailing because of this guy standing in there right now, Ken Harvey.
Yep, one swing of the bat did it. It's been another well-played game. Kansas City's made some nice defensive plays, got the one key hit. Rangers have had a lot of hits, a lot of base runners, being shut down the last 2 innings by Sean Camp.
Another hard hit ball, and Soriano couldn't stop it.
Well, based on this game, you can see why Harvey was leading the league at hitting. He's hit 4 bullets. That's the second ball he's hit just like that. Right by Soriano. Too hot to handle.
Our Gatorade X Factor. Let's take you back to the Ken Harvey show back in the 5th. Is this the one that counted or no? Yep.
Yep, that counted.
Just before that, the pitch before that, they had called a 3-run home run, but then reversed direction. Tim Welke overruled by a couple of the other umpires. This is not new ground for Ken Harvey, by the way. He won the Big 12 batting title at Nebraska a few years ago. In fact, he led the nation. He hit .478 his last year at Nebraska. He came close to hitting .400 his first year in the minors.
He had an incredible year in the Arizona Fall League. So I think he hit .400 in that league. That's a league chock full of teams' best prospects. Played after the season ends. There's something like .470 in that league. So he's got a little bit of a pedigree as far as hitting for average goes.
He was on the run. Product of Beverly Hills High. The old 90210. I didn't see him in the cast, but he was there. We go from Beverly Hills High to Lincoln, Nebraska. How's that work? Rocale working to Joe Randa here. On appeal, no swing. Yeah, Harvey missed by 1 hit, Tom, being a .400 hitter in Spokane, which is where the Rangers now have their rookie league team. He ended up at .397. Then he had an off year in 2000 in Wilmington. He hit only .335. They sent him back for another year, and he hit .380.
They must not have believed that he could do it again.
Harvey goes, and a ground ball to stay out of the double play. Young cross diamond for the out. And it works kind of like a sacrifice. Runner at second, 1 down. Folks, don't forget tomorrow, day baseball from Kansas City right here on Fox Sports Net, 1 o'clock. Shanahoe Park against one-time Texas Ranger Dennis Reyes. Remember him? 15 games for the Rangers a couple of years ago. Update you on a couple scores real quick, too. Tom mentioned earlier, everybody in the AL West has lost tonight already. Hopefully the Rangers will not have that happen to them. Toronto has just tied Minnesota with 4 in the 8th. It's 5-5. National League, the Astros lost to the Pirates. Roy Oswalt losing for the first time this year. That final 4-2. Native Texan Josh Beckett got the win for Florida in Denver. They beat the Rockies 9-4. Miguel Cabrera, his 9th home run to tie Barry Bonds.
That kid can hit.
He is a kid. He's 21 years old. Aesop Choi's got 7 home runs. He didn't have that many last year.
Big Choi.
Big Choi, as Jack McKeon calls him, because he can't remember how to say Aesop.
Mr. Big.
Mike Lowell's got 6 home runs now, too. Rocale to Santiago. Past the mound. Young can't get it. Here comes Harvey. 5-2.
Santiago found a hole. Michael was playing a little bit over, shaded toward third, and he just hit a soft ground ball right up the middle. And moving the runner on Randa's ground ball saved a double play and provided an insurance run for Kansas City on Santiago's base hit. Actually, I guess he's not really shading over toward third. That was just well placed straight up the middle.
With Aaron Guile due to come up next, the Rangers will make a pitching change. Brocail thought about the old Kevin Brown play right there. Try to barehand it. He'll leave, and Erasmo Ramirez will be asked to come into the game to face the left-hand swinging Guile. And the Royals now lead it 5-2. Hall of Fame third baseman George Brett looks like he could still play. He's watching his Kansas City Royals with a 5-2 lead on the Rangers right now. Some higher standards brought to you by Bank of America. The only players that were named on a higher percentage of ballots were Tom Seaver, Ty Cobb, and Nolan Ryan.
And you wonder what the theory is behind the voting of the 2% who didn't vote for George Brett.
What did they need him to do?
What did he need to do?
Ramirez deals a strike. Aaron Guile, the hitter, trying to keep it a 5-2 game. If the Rangers stay within striking distance, they will be able to take aim at Mike McDougal, who has not been in a game in the regular season this year. On the DL with a stomach virus out of spring training. Guile loops one. It'll stay in the infield. Young able to take care of it. David DeJesus coming up next. And Thomas, we check some other scores. The Cubs, who had been outscored, 20-1 the first two games in Phoenix, are leading the Diamondbacks tonight 3-1. Greg Maddux trying to even up his record at 2-2. That game's in the fourth inning. We'll keep an eye on the Reds and Brewers. Milwaukee was down 9-0. It's now 9-9 in the ninth.
Wow.
And maybe the biggest update we can give you, I know you personally, the red-headed kid lost on American Idol tonight. It's about time, some would say.
I have to admit I've watched that show occasionally, although I'll never watch it again.
No. Travesty now it is.
Not the way that voting's gone.
Atlanta's leading San Francisco 2-0. That's early. And hey, stop the presses. The Expos scored a run. Montreal over San Diego 1-0 in the second inning. That's a note I saw on the Expos today. They have 9 home runs for the year and something like 700 at bats. Barry Bonds has 9 and 46 at bats. Down too low, 2-1 to DeJesus, who, if nothing else, has shown a decent eye in most situations here. He's been ahead in every count, it seems. Three balls, one strike. You've got a 20-year-old rookie on deck in Andres Blanco. And Tag, as you look ahead to the Rangers' ninth, 9-1-2 in the order coming up. You get Laird or Young on base. Blaylock, Soriano, Perry come up after that.
The right guy's coming up.
Ground ball slowly hit to Soriano. He'll take the out at first, and that's just fine. The Rangers get out of the inning, but it's now 5-2. The Rangers down to their last 3 outs. Texas Ranger Baseball on Fox Sports Net, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Nonstop service to 59 destinations all across the country. By the smooth taste with friends tonight. Brad Fulmer getting set to pinch hit. The loud ovation you just heard was for the introduction of Mike McDougal into the game. He was the 100-mile-an-hour throwing closer for the Royals last year. This year, he has not pitched because of a stomach virus that landed him on the DL.
They made the All-Star team last year. Coming in a 5-2 ball game. You're going to come in for your first opportunity for a save. This is the kind of situation I guess you'd like to be in. Nobody out, nobody on, and a 3-run lead. From the Rangers standpoint, Sean Camp did a great job against him. Gave up a bloop single, got a double play, no walks, and a couple of strikeouts. He was very tough in the 7th and 8th inning.
And McDougal, when he's on, is tremendous. He opened eyes in winter ball a couple of years ago, throwing 100 miles an hour with what scouts came back describing as nasty sink. we had that at our fraternity house in college. And the toilets were even worse, but I digress. Nasty sinking fastball, and that's what Brad Fulmer is going to see here. If, indeed, Mike McDougal is back to form. And we don't know that yet because he hasn't pitched yet. Down and into Fulmer, who didn't figure to get a start in this series. The Rangers facing nothing but left-handed starters here in Kansas City. In 2/3 of their games this year, Tom, have been in double digits in hits. They've got 12 tonight, but it might not be enough. Not a bad plan here from Fulmer. McDougal, you got to figure, is a little amped up to be out here finally. Make him throw a strike. Say he went 2-2.
Didn't look like it, but it never really does look like it to the naked eye. I don't think so.
On a pitch down in the dirt.
Most of them are, but I don't think that was.
Rangers craving base runners here. A walk would be fine. Young on deck, and then Blaylock. On the ground, second base. One away. With Young set to come up, let's go back to the studio. John and Randy for a preview of what's next, guys.
All right, Josh, appreciate it. Coming up right after the game on your Busch Light Southwest Sports Report, we'll talk Mavericks basketball, getting ready for Game 5 with the Kings. Also, a great finish in the friendly between USA and Mexico at the Cotton Bowl. We've got the highlights of that for you, and Mark Cuban doing a little work in Vegas tonight. We'll explain. For now, it's back to Josh and Tom in the 9th inning.
Thank you very much. Here's Young, top of the order. Don't forget, it's a day game tomorrow. Chan-Ho Park against Dennis Reyes at 1 o'clock here on Fox Sports Net. Rangers came in having won 6 of 7 and 8 of 11. They have stalled so far tonight. Another one for a strike from McDougal. City, meantime, trying to pull itself up off the mat, Tom. They were 2-10 in their last 12. They came in at 6-12 for the year. A team a lot of people picked to win the Central Division, and obviously it's still early enough. They've got time to straighten this out.
Well, they got the worst record in the American League right now.
Not walked in back-to-back at bats all year, but he's got a chance to do that now with a count of 3-2. Goes after it. Blanco backhands, and a wide throw. Young is going to be safe at first base.
Wow, you got a rifle for an arm. He was a little off target, and it's a good thing Michael didn't run into Ken Harvey. That's the wrong guy to run into. He comes up firing. He had a little more time to throw that ball. He actually rushed his throw a little bit. Plenty of velocity, but just off accuracy-wise.
And that will be scored an error. And it doesn't happen a lot here at Kauffman Stadium. They don't hand out ease too often. Blaylock will come to the plate. That one hummed in there at a cool 93 from McDougal. Earlier tonight, Tom, about how the top third of the Ranger order has been doing so much hitting. And indeed, Young, Blaylock, Soriano each have a hit tonight, but only one. If Blaylock can finagle his way on here, Soriano, who was the defensive hero last night, will have the chance to be the offensive hero this evening. Ripped foul, 2-2.
Talking about Josh, 94 miles an hour. Got it kind of on the inside part of the plate and up a little bit. Probably not a strike, but it had some pretty good movement on it. Hank couldn't quite lay off. He's a little upset with himself, but pretty good fastball pitcher he's facing out there.
Pretty good fastball hitter coming up, Soriano. Strike. Ground ball down the line, fair ball. Young was off with the pitch. He's coming around third, heading in. And Soriano at second base with a double. It is now 5-3.
Well, that's what you want to do when you're down by 3, is bring that tie-in run up there. Give yourself a chance. Soriano with his second double of the ball game. Gets his 12th RBI of the season. Looked like he hit a hanging slider. That ball never really broke toward the outside part of the plate. It just stayed up and in the strike zone. And Soriano got out in front of it and hit it pretty well right down the line.
So the tying man will bat. It's Herbert Perry, who has 2 hits tonight. On a night when the Rangers have left a lot of runners on in scoring position. Strike 1. For the game, Tom, the Rangers have stranded 9, plus they've hit into a pair of double plays. On the ground, Graffinino. And the win streak ends tonight. Appropriately, the ball ended up in the glove of Ken Harvey. He was the difference in the game. The first baseman smacked a 3-run home run in the 5th. Initially, there were 3 runs on the board for him. A ball that was ruled fair and then reversed. The very next pitch, though, he straightened out. And a 3-run homer that counted is indeed the difference in the game.
Well, that was the difference. Kenny Rogers ended up pitching 6 2/3. Pitched a solid ball game. Only gave up 7 hits in the game. That was the big blow, the one you're talking about. And from the Rangers standpoint, 13 hits, but they could only get 3 runs. They scored 1 in the 1st, 1 in the 6th, and then 1 in the 9th.
They end up stranding 10, and they drop to 12-9 as the entire AL West loses this evening. Our final score, Royals 5, Rangers 3. Coming up next, a preview of Mavericks-Kings Game 5 and a lot more. We go to John and Randy for the Busch Light Southwest Sports Report.